Hello, and welcome to this edition of Whiskey at Work. My name is Mark. Joining us, I should say.
How quickly we forget already.
Kelsey had to take a quick road trip this week, so she wasn't going to be able to be with us. So we always have her understudy ready to go. It's Leslie with us. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome.
It's always a torture.
When did we tell you were going to do this today?
Rob told me that you had already told me yesterday. So.
No, that's a lie. I did not tell her yesterday.
I'm aware.
Because, we hadn't decided yet, had we? What we were going to do?
We had already had the conversation with Kelsey and you said you were going to talk to her.
Oh, that's right, because I said, Kelsey, are you okay if we have Leslie do it? And I totally forgot.
So I did.
But it's never a hard choice. I'm always happy to be here.
No,
Thank you.
that's great.
Appreciate
Yes. I mean, it's free whiskey.
Yeah.
I can see where you're not going to turn that
some
down.
people.
With one of the coolest people here at Home Slice.
Oh, and she's going to let that hang. Russ gives the thumbs up. Yeah. That's probably true, though.
Now, hold on a second. Shouldn't a guy with the porn stash be on this side of the camera?
I'm just saying. That's an awesome mustache. Don't ever diss Russ's mustache, because you wish you could grow something like that, Santa. You should see him. Come deer hunting time.
I've witnessed it.
Yeah, you've seen the whole
the good
thing.
old picture where he's like, I have a deer.
That was perfect.
Thank
you were
you.
really good.
I often do that. I often go, I have a
Pops into your
deer.
doorway.
Yeah.
Hi, Rob.
Okay. Today, we are finally kind of back on track a little bit, I think, with what we were doing 4 months ago or 4 years ago or a lifetime ago is what it feels like at this point. We were trying to find some regional whiskeys around us. People that were distilling it didn't necessarily have to be making their own barrels, but we're finding out that a lot of them are actually doing that as well. Getting the ingredients, the grains, all from the state where it's being made right now. And we have discovered some pretty tasty whiskeys that surround South Dakota. This one's a little farther away, but we wanted to get to this because the guy that brought it to us, it's been about a year now. we haven't got
it hasn't been a year.
Has it been that long?
I don't think so.
It seems like it. So we wanted to. I mean, he went all the way to Washington State to get this for us. So
He was going there anyway. It's not like we made him go get this
But
for
he
us.
thought of you guys. That's nice. I don't think of you guys when I go.
Thought of us after we told him to go, hey,
if you're going to be shopping,
if you're going to go anyway, might as well bring us back some booze.
So, Leslie, we've had you on a couple of these episodes, and you're still pretty new to the whole whiskey drinking thing, aren't you?
Definitely, yeah.
So, have you in between the times we've had you on, have you found anything that you've liked? Have you tried anything new?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I am super unadventurous with this. I stick with what I know when I go out, and I haven't been able to go out.
Well, so when you're at
Vodka Red
home,
Bull,
then
huh?
I like
what are you
Buffalo
doing?
Trace.
Okay,
But
well,
that's
interesting
like
story.
it. That's all we have.
Oh, really?
At home. Yeah.
Who makes the decision? You or Joe?
Joe.
Oh, good Lord.
And I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Well, I mean, he's making a good call, but
He is.
Still, you got to put your foot down because
I want
you've
to
had
step
some.
out of that mold. and be
Yeah,
like, no,
exactly.
I choose what we drink in this house.
Just wait till you get married. That's how it works.
And that's interesting you bring that up because Buffalo Trace was just named the Distiller of the Year. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's a big, big honor for.
They've got some big brands.
Oh my
that they
gosh.
are the home of too.
Yep, they do. And we're going to, hopefully in a couple of weeks, get about 3 of those in to do an episode on that because it's such a distinct honor. But speaking of.
You are going to make me open that last bottle of Blanton's, aren't
You're
you?
damn right I'm going to. That
The
can't
one that
sit
I
there.
paid for?
That can't sit there that long.
It's not open. It can sit there as long as I want.
We have also got a big award winner sitting here in front of us, and we didn't know this when we asked Chris to bring this back from Washington State.
The news just came out within the last couple of months. I think I sent you a text while we were in quarantine.
Right. And mentioned and this had been in there, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, don't we have a bottle of this in my office? And you absolutely did. This was a double gold winner at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, which is the big one
for 2020.
Well, yeah, for 2020. So most recently, it's a 5-year aged bourbon from Woodinville, Washington, is where they make it.
That is correct.
They do something unique with the wood, though, that it says on the back of this.
Yeah, they let all of the wood for the staves age outdoors in the elements for 5 years.
It's a long time. Yeah. I mean, that's going through the Washington winters and rains and the 3 days of sun that they get in Washington State, and then turning those into the barrels that this sits in. So I was really surprised that he brought this back, and it ended up being such a big deal.
Do they say what aging the barrels before you age anything in the barrels does?
That's a good question. I think it's more of I don't want to say a gimmick, because I think maybe it does something to the tannins in the wood. Obviously, it would have to, wouldn't it?
Well, I would imagine that every cooper has to age the wood a little bit, or by the time you get it
from the tree into the barrel.
If you go straight from tree to barrel, it's gonna
be a little sappy.
It's gonna contract, and you're gonna end up with all the whiskey on the floor if you don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know if the charring
and
affects that at all.
And it does go through that process because it is a bourbon, and like we've talked about before, you can make bourbon anywhere in the United States. It's not just made in Kentucky, but it has to follow the strict rules that dictate what a bourbon is, and one of them is new American oak barrels that are charred. They have to be, what they do is they set it over a literal flame that blasts up into it, and just like roasting a marshmallow, depending on how deep you go into those. Did you get the image?
The coolest job ever. That's all I want to do.
to be a cooper.
Everybody. Yeah.
I'm going to make barrels and burn wood.
I didn't know that's how they did it. Like, I'm really new to all of this. That's really cool.
It is a cool process, and if you ever go to a place like Jack Daniel's, if you go down to their distillery, they'll show you the process as it happens. They sit you down and watch a video, or when they're actually, I think you can go and watch them actually make it. But we were there when everything was kind of shut down.
The barrel man was there when I was there, but I didn't see the cooperage. I think that's off-site.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's more than one of them, but I don't think there's one actually on the Jack Daniel's site.
Could have been.
Sorry, Jeff. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure I was half buzzed on your Jack while I was taking the tour, so I saw some things, didn't see some things. It was a good time. But this is aged 5 years. Which kind of surprised me as well, because this distillery has only been in existence for 10. Oh. So, they got on it and took care of business. It's also recently, 2 years ago, was purchased by a pretty big company. The company that makes Hennessy and Dom Perignon now owns this. Did I say that right?
Sorry. Oh, you were talking? I thought Sorry.
Dom Perignon.
Dom Perignon just purchased this. It's still made in Woodinville.
Too soon, Rob.
If that keeps coming up in every one of these videos,
it will.
From now
you
moving
made one
forward.
mistake, and it is.
I'm just glad that we have a little normalcy back, except for this
normalcy
piece of plastic in front of us. That's a word, right? Normalcy.
No,
who
just
you are
the
now.
one.
Thank you, Leslie.
I wasn't even there for it.
I've made one mistake during this whole thing.
It was inviting me to be on the show.
Yeah, it was.
Because I'll remember the rest of them for a long time.
I had this crazy little idea, and I'm like, Rob, would you like to do it? Shh.
Peanut butter whiskey. This will be fun.
And he's still here, so take that. All right. Well,
Wasn't so sure after last week.
We've had a chance to sit and sip it. So you tried it neat without ice or water initially, and what'd you think?
It is caramely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan.
There's a lot of sweetness to it for a bourbon, and I think that has to do. I want to say that has to do with what they do with those staves. I mean, it has to, because it's a pretty unique flavor, you know.
Well, and aging at 5 years is a little bit further above what some of the Kentucky straights only have to be aged for 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of them go further than that, but 5 years is a commitment.
Well, you're still drinking it neat.
Yeah, I am. I thought maybe I'd try a little bit of your water just to.
Well, give it
to see.
That's what I did. I put some of the water in it because that's my thing now. I'm a water and whiskey guy.
Yikes.
Go ahead.
Water and whiskey guy.
You can
whiskey water.
You
guy?
can think it's cool. No. I work on a country radio station, so we play a lot of music that involves whiskey and water.
Not as cool as it sounds.
Sunshine and whiskey.
Right. See, you got it. You're on it.
Yeah.
And no, saying it out loud, you're right. Not near as cool
No.
as I thought it was going to be.
Fine.
So,
But she did say whiskey and water, not water and whiskey, right?
shut up. God dang it. Now this is, hey, whatever takes away from
Second mistake of the
normalcy
day.
would be great.
Oh, you just said it again. Another
God, I wish
7 years of
you
bad
just
luck.
let that die.
I should have. Okay, Leslie, what do you think? You had it with ice.
Yes, which is
So-
the only way I've ever had whiskey or bourbon. I do neat at Whiskey Fest to enjoy the experience.
All right. Good call.
It like the feeling, the mouth feel is like those chewy caramels that your grandma always has on her purse.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yep. That's all I have though.
Well, that's a pretty good take on this though, because it does. And I like when you ask somebody what they think of a flavor or how they think something tastes, they tell you what it is. And I don't know, it has to just be a mental gymnastic that you do. But then I'm like, yeah, I taste that. That's what interesting.
That's why they write what you're supposed to taste on the back of the bottle. So you're like, oh,
This
figs
is
and
what I'm getting.
earthy tones.
Figs.
Obviously, this tastes like dirt jam. My wine bottle says it should. So it's good though. It
yeah.
has like that initial like fiery bite, which I mean it's alcohol, I don't
Right.
know. But
But the water really takes that away. The
It's
ice, I'm
really
assuming the water.
smooth.
It really calmed down after the first sip. There's got to be something with that just initial alcohol content in your mouth to begin with, no matter what the ratio is.
I believe they call that the alcohol bloom.
The bloom?
The bloom is what they call that. You want that initially to be gone. That's why when you sniff an alcohol, you're supposed to kind of let that first waft go and then get
One
into
of
it.
those.
And I also learned, and I hate myself for doing this. So I'm
I
watching.
don't think you do.
I kind of do. There is 2 great documentaries on Hulu. One was called Neat, and one was called Scotch. And they go into bourbon and Scotch, obviously. The Neat is about bourbon. But when I was watching the Scotch one, the guy said on how you're supposed to kind of smell and taste or whatever. And he said, when you take that initial breath in, you kind of have to do it with your mouth open. So you breathe in through your nose, but your mouth has to be open. Try that.
So
Bourbon
drinkers are a bunch of mouth breathers. Is that what you're saying?
Pick up your glass and try to breathe through your nose with your mouth open.
On camera.
It's
weird feeling.
It is weird, isn't it?
They do that with beer tasting too.
And they say the same thing. You're supposed to leave your mouth open when you do it.
And wine tasting.
Your smell can taste it when your mouth is open. Right?
Well, they're all connected, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like 50%
I'm not a
of
biologist.
taste is smell.
Oh, I believe that.
I'm picking a number out of it, but it's something significant.
Could be 70.
For more statistics that are made up on the spot, tune in next week.
But anyway, that was just a little side. Anyway, yeah, this is delicious. I can see why it's an award winner. I think Woodinville, Washington should definitely be proud of this product. It's rye whiskey too was also a winner of something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it seems like they've got a great product on their hand. And if you have somebody like Dom Perignon, a company like that's behind you.
Well, if they snapped it up after
right.
only a few years of being in business, holy smokes, they
And
must be onto something.
Then yeah, the 2 guys that are in charge of this whole thing, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I mean, you get to go make your whiskey and not worry about how much are we going to sell so we have a place to live.
Hopefully they retained a little bit of ownership in it.
I didn't get that from the article, but they were both kept in charge, and it was not going to leave the Woodinville area. So
That's nice.
yeah, I suppose that's a thing. Also, one quick thing we noticed in here, that this must not be a cold filtered bourbon because there's some sediment in there.
There's stuff in there.
Yeah, there is. It kind of looks like little flakes of tobacco. Is kind of what looks like what's in there. But that has to be the wood. So, right? Wouldn't it?
Yeah, that sounds appetizing. Hey,
It just adds to it.
Just Houston leaning over the bottle.
I'm not that cool. Even I could admit I'm nowhere near that cool.
Except
Anyway,
he does have a pipe.
I do, and it's a Peterson from Ireland. Anyway, next week we are going to do a whiskey from the great state of Iowa. And I'm expecting a lot from this because when you're from the corn state, this better be good.
You better not screw it up.
Exactly. But anyway, Leslie, thanks for filling in and hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
And drinking some free whiskey. And
Anytime.
we'll, I'm sure, have you back again as Kelsey still, maintains her busyness around you. But we'll be doing the Iowa whiskeys, the Iowa whiskey next week and in a couple weeks. If
She'll be happy about that. Here, try this award-winning whiskey while I'm gone, and then Iowa for you. Good.
And hopefully in a couple of weeks, if we can scratch together some coin, we'll be getting some bottles in from Buffalo Trace and comparing 3 or 4 of them that were winners of the Distillery of the Year to see if that's really true. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And
I want to mention, social
like I said,
or
I
website.
can't recommend this enough. Yeah, you want to mention that? Where are we, Rob?
We are on the Facebook and the
Instagram.
The Instagram.
And
I got to turn around. I should know this by now. And we do have a new website.
Yes.
whiskey-at-work.com.
I hate it. I hate that.
Because-
But again, if you just bookmark it one time, then you never have to enter the stupid address again. Right?
Put it on the screen, Russ. Make it happen.
Yeah,
Brown
look at-
chicken, brown cow.
Looking at you, Texas. I'm still so angry with you right now. I can't stand it. All right. I don't know if we'll ever drink another whiskey from Texas. You just ruined it. Okay. Unless you sell us the web address, then maybe we'll talk.
Or we'll give you a plug if you just give it to
Yeah.
us.
No kidding.
Hey, Jeff from Texas was awesome.
Is his name Jeff?
I don't know.
Okay. He sounds like
I made it up.
Sounds like a
For
Jeff.
other statistics,
Sounds like he
made
owns
up
the
on spot.
website. Just the Jeff that.
He does. He does. Yeah. A very Jeff
on,
thing
Jeff.
to do. Anyway,
Way to go,
thanks so much for
Karen.
watching. What is this called, by the way? Did we ever give the name?
Woodinville.
It's just
Bourbon
Woodinville
whiskey.
straight bourbon whiskey. Go get yourself some. The closest place to buy it around here is actually Fort Collins. That's the closest.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
You can
is
buy
it-
other stuff.
Did you
Never
want to
mind.
mention it was pot distilled
No.
as you're going to Fort Collins? There. Okay.
You're
All
12.
right. We'll be done with that then. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you next week.
Cheers.